Pat McAfee, we talked about it yesterday, right? We sat there and we said, Pat McAfee, he's not going to cave. It's ESPN or Pat McAfee. I don't think he's going to cave. I think ESPN is the person with, what do you call it, the example I gave with, they're the people that they're going to do this and they're going to do that. Well, the story comes out 24 hours later, and guess what, folks?
What happened?
Aaron Rodgers will no longer be a guest on the Pat McAfee show for the remainder of the season, as confirmed by Pat McAfee, who expressed there will be a lot of people who are happy with that, myself included. To be honest with you, I am happy that he's not going to be in my mentions going forward, which is great news. During the final appearance on the show, Aaron Rodgers primarily discussed his ongoing feud with Jimmy Kimmel and his controversial viewpoints on COVID. Pat McAfee, remaining loyal to Rodgers, acknowledged some of his thoughts and opinions do piss a lot of people off. McAfee also expressed relief, saying, I am pumped that we will no longer be in every single Wednesday of my life, which it has been the past few weeks. Rob, can you play this clip? And I think go past the first 20 seconds to the announcement right there. Play it from right there. Go ahead.
Myself included, to be honest, with the way it ended, it got real loud.
A little bit back, yeah.
And myself included, to be honest, with the way it ended, it got real loud. What we do know is the guy that stopped by yesterday caused quite a conversation.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Now,
per usual.
Not like that. So Aaron Rodgers Tuesday, season 4 is done.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
There's going to be a lot of people that are happy with that, myself included, to be honest. With the way it ended, it got real loud. And real loud. I'm happy that is not going to be my mentions going forward, which is great news. We're a conversation show. People are having conversations. We live in a country that has freedom of speech, but also you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your freedom of speech. So what I'm saying is we've given a lot of people who've been waiting for us to fail a lot of ammo and things to attack us for over the last week. And we would love to get back to the point where we just move on and continue to silence all the haters over here who can't negotiate as good as I can. All the people over here who can't create a show as good as us, and all the people up here who are just going to always be here, and they're going to hustle and do their thing, which I respect. But we need to do that, and that is our focus. That is our goal. And Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. He's a four-time MVP. He's a massive piece of the NFL story. Whenever you go back and tell it, he will be a huge part of it. We are very lucky to get a chance to chat with him and learn from him. Some of his thoughts and opinions, though, do piss off a lot of people. And I'm pumped that is no longer going to be every single Wednesday of my life, which it has been for the last few weeks. On Friday, obviously, I threw us into the fire as well. Forever stand by that. Everything else, though, just can't do that and not what we want to be known for. And I'm also pumped that I don't have to do these types of talks anymore. So with that being said, sports are alive right now.
What do you think about that?
Dude, who was the guy that was talking to him, Tom? Who was the guy that they were mentioning that?
Norby Williamson.
Norby Williamson. So, what do you I think?
Norby, the corporate bureaucrat guy.
I think after that last time, the video that we saw, they came in there and they said, hey, listen, you are going to do this, you are going to say this, and that is that. After he did that big-ass speech about how he's in charge and he's the man and all that, I don't even watch this show, but I lost so much respect for him because he didn't stand his ground, period.
Adam, look, let's just go over the facts. Right, because we're gonna have a lot of opinions on this. Who owns ESPN? Right,
Disney.
Right, ABC, Disney. We've talked about this.
To sell ESPN.
Thanks, Tom.
Disney.
We've talked about this a million times. Where the biggest advertiser on legacy media, mainstream media, is who? Big Pharma. A month ago, we had a conversation with Colby Covington, less than a month ago, where he basically called out Travis Kelce. We see what's going on with him and Taylor Swift. He's been bought, sold, paid for by Pfizer. That's done. He said he made $20 million when any other advertising basically agenda would have been closer to $5 million. It's a pay-for-play situation going on with legacy media, mainstream media, Disney, ABC, ESPN, Pfizer. We all know they're in bed together. In comes Pat McAfee. Hey, I'm rough and tumble. I don't wear no sleeves. I kick ass for a living. I do what I want. Aaron Rodgers, all right, cool. He just got a taste of what it's like working in mainstream media. I don't know if he actually stands by these comments, doesn't stand by these comments. What I do know is that whatever relationship he had with Aaron Rodgers is now defunct. If you're Aaron Rodgers, how are you looking at Pat McAfee being like, yeah, that's my boy?
Never.
I don't think
it's done. It's done.
So we had a conversation yesterday of what it would take for you to sell your your soul or to sell your boys down the river. For some things that you stand for 100%, you're not going to cave for that. So what I'm reading the tea leaves here. Turns out Pat McAfee cares about the money than he does more about his relationship with Aaron Rodgers. That's clear.
Yep.
So, and it turns out that maybe they weren't as good as friends as we maybe perceived them to be.
But he made
the bottom line is this: $85 million when you made a couple $1 million in your day will make anybody take a second thought, and it's a lot easier to stand there and say, oh, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do this. Go ahead, look at a blank check for $85 million, and all you have to do is sign. Let me know when you're in that situation, and that's when we'll find out who you are.
But Pat McAfee, the last video that we saw, Tom, didn't he say, he goes, I have control of my show. I have creative control, whatever he wants to talk about. How did that change? Somebody had to tell him.
You don't have creative control when you work for ESPN, you work for
why
Disney,
did he say it?
and they have their woke agenda.
Then he lied.
So whatever he says is one thing. What does the contract say? What does the dotted line say? The bottom line is this. You sign a contract for $85 million to literally do what we do. Some people are going to have to tell you, yeah, you can't say that, can't do this, especially when it comes to the Pfizer situation, because that's the crux of the situation. Don't be fooled by the Epstein, Jimmy Kimmel, Aaron Rodgers thing.
Yeah.
This comes down to Big Pharma and Pfizer.
Yeah, when you take a look at these contracts, two things can be true at the same time. Pat McAfee saying, this is my show, I'm the producer, I make decisions on my guests. That could be absolutely true. But in every one of these contracts nowadays, there are moral turpitude clauses, such as he can't get himself into some terrible situation that, like show up on the Epstein list, and that puts, the ESPN brand at peril. He can't do that. Also in the contract, there's going to be statements about inflammatory statements and things that are over the top. Like he brings on a bunch of people that are pro this or pro that are just completely inflammatory. There's going to be clauses in there that says, hey, you control your guests, you control that. But if this all that happens, this is here. And I think ESPN, dropped the dime on Pat and said, Pat, we got to talk. He says, listen, Aaron Rodgers, this, and this controversy, great. It's good for ratings. But when he crosses the line over here, we can't have this. We can't have that. We can't do this. We got to pull him off the show. That last segment, there were so many things packed in. That lasagna had so much stuff in it that we just can't deal with. And I bet there was some screaming. I bet there was a big thing going on in a conference room, and I bet McAfee didn't want to do it. But then it appears that he caved, and the opening of his segment is this careful thing where he lays it out. And Adam, I think a lot of what you just said is right, but I think a lot of this you said on the line that is dotted, a lot of this is already in the contract.
Yeah. So here's my thoughts, guys. Let me tell you. When you're around in business for a long time, you trust fewer people, okay? Why do you trust fewer people? Because you let me restate that. You trust fewer people's words. Everybody talks. Few people do. I remember one time, I'll go to earliest stage when we're growing, and this is 2008. 2009, I want to say March or something like that. And I'm putting an event together, somewhere around that date. I'm putting an event together. And at this event, this girl gets up on stage. And it's probably, this girl gets up on stage. And she is the spokesperson on these other 5 guys that got me a nice little booklet. And 15 people paid for this thing. And it's pictures and stories of everything. She's up on the stage. And she said, let me tell you. You have a father figure. This is your mom's life. 10 minutes, she's in tears. This is on video, by the way.
Oh, man.
Like, we have it in our in our archives. A week later, she leaves me for $30,000 and a BMW.
Wow.
And goes and becomes a direct competitor to us. Okay? A week later, 2 weeks later. And people watching this who know who she is, they know who she is. Like this. Boom, she did that. Fast forward. We got another guy. Let me tell you, I'm forever. I'm about everybody eats, and I'm about this and this and that. Really? I'm a ride or die type of guy, bro. Awesome. So we're working with this guy. Boom, 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 boom. All of a sudden, one small little offer, $100,000. He's gone. It didn't take a lot of money. Yeah. He's gone, right? And then you have people who behind closed doors get offered millions of dollars, life-changing money, and they don't flinch. Okay? And I have those stories as well in the company. And those who don't do that are rewarded long-term. Those who do then they're going to be doing that for the rest of their lives. And guess what someone's going to know in the marketplace? You're going to be driven by money. No problem. As you age in life, you'll realize eventually you can have the money. You can have all that stuff. What matters the most is who do you spend time with on Christmas Day? Who do you spend time with on 4th of July? Who comes to your house with their kids? Who wants to have a friendship with you? Who do you want to have a strong friendship with, relationship with? And if you do, you got to pour into it. And you got to show that values are more important than money. I remember one time, this is 2000 and, what's peak of COVID? 20. This is 2021 is what it is. And I'll tell you the month of it. It's probably August or September. And we come after the event and wherever we are. And we have a board meeting with me. And they're sitting there saying, Pat, with everything that's going on right now with COVID, you need to send nurses to offices with vaccines to get all the agents vaccinated so they don't get COVID. What? I said, I'm sorry? Yes. Then I noticed 2 people teamed up on me on that call. And it was 2 specific people that they're saying, well, and by the way, I love these guys. Till today, I love these guys. And they say, well, listen, if you go to such and such private equity company in New York, if you go to this company and this, you have to give your card and you have to show that you're vaccinated. It's very normal with these big companies. And if we want to be big, we got to follow the leader of the big companies. I said, yeah, it's not going to happen. Well, think about it. For 3 hours, the entire board meeting with board members, morale's in the room. Everything was about us getting everybody in the company vaccinated. How do you think that call? And by the way, just so you know, I'm not rich at this time. Mm-hmm. I'm paper rich.
Yeah.
But I don't have a few $100 million. I don't have the cash that we're talking about. That hasn't happened yet.
Gotcha.
There's a big difference between being paper rich and between cash rich. Tom, you know the difference, right? There's a big difference there, right? Because you're like, man, I got a lot of equity, but this thing can be lost tomorrow. So you may be able to compromise because you're worried, what if you lose the money, right? Yeah. There's a big difference between you have $85 million and it's already contract given in the bank. Anyways, I say, no, it's not going to happen. We want you to consider this. It's not going to happen. Finally, I make a video. In the video I send out everybody on that week, people know. They're like, oh, wow, Pat, what's Pat saying in this video? I said, guys, here's all I ask of you. If you choose to get the vaccine, don't judge them. If they make that choice, that it's proper for them. I said, my dad's 79 years old. He got the vaccine, and he's getting the boosters. My nanny, she got the vaccine, she got the boosters. We chose not to get it. No one in our family judges anybody. If you get it, you will not be judged by me. If you don't get it, you will not be judged by me. Period. And that was a message that went out. I'm not sending nobody to go give you shots. So guess what happens? Long term, you get to trust who you want to be in business with. Now, if in life I do agree with Adam, there's certain people that are solo people that it's all about them and it's about their money. It's about them, what I'm in. No. Yeah, of course. If it's about you, you're going to make those decisions. There's solo players in life. There's team players in life. This decision was made. He caved. Pat McAfee caved. In regards to how their relationship's going to be moving forward or not, I think Aaron Rodgers still follows Pat McAfee on Instagram, and there's still that going on. And I think even Aaron Rodgers made a comment about it. Rob, what is this you're showing me? Do you want me to read this?
This is Pat McAfee's tweet last night. He's saying that Aaron Rodgers isn't banned from the show. It's just his segment always ends at the end of Aaron Rodgers' football season. The Jets season ended last week, so this is...
I know about this, but that's not the point. A lot of people are saying, well, you're not saying this, Pat. You're kind of misrepresenting. No. He said, I'm kind of happy because freedom of speech has consequences, and you said something, so you can... This is flip-flopping. No. I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. The specific words are, I'm kind of happy we're no longer dealing with that.
Yes.
Those are the words from you. I'm happy we're no longer dealing with that. And that is a form of you not wanting to talk about that. Okay, McAfee, I was kind of happy Rodgers wouldn't be back on the show because of the drama it caused. Yeah, okay, cool. Then that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But for me, Aaron Rodgers gained a ton of respect. Djokovic didn't play in Australia Open. Think about this for a second. For you, you're like, oh, if it's money, they'll cave. That could have been the difference of him being known as the greatest of all time because he needed one more, what do you call it, Grand Slam to win. Slam. And what if he gets injured and he never wins a Grand Slam again? So you mean to tell me not taking the vaccine was more important than never being known as the GOAT? You know what Djokovic said? Yes. That's what Djokovic said. Mm-hmm. Have you seen what he said on the clip about the vaccine when they asked him a question, why don't you take the vaccine?
Djokovic?
Have you seen the clip? Have you seen what he said?
It was a while ago, right?
Steadfast on this.
Yeah, no, his position was just like, because it's my choice.
Yeah.
And I want to be respected my health choice. I don't think I need it. Go ahead.
But I'm going to ask you a question, but because I want to know where you think the odds are on who this is on, right? This is on ESPN. This is on McAfee. This is on Rodgers. This is on Kimmel, like an odds type situation. I want you to maybe break that down.
Yeah, of course.
But when I say that everybody has a price, I stand by that. But it depends on what the cause is and where you stand on this. What do I mean? Everything in life, everything comes down to relationships and friendships. If you're friends with somebody and you're loyal to somebody, there's no price. You won't cave. But if you're not loyal to somebody and there's no friendship and there's no relationship there, or if it's not as connected as you think it is, then you might cave. I'll give you an example. You brought up the insurance industry. I met you in 2012. I've been in the industry since 2006.
Yep.
My firm is the best in the country at doing this one thing called life settlements. I've been to a million different NALBA's meetings, FINSECA's, ALU's, every single one of these meetings, Pat, for 17 years. At every single one of these meetings, I get recruited. Hey, man, you're the best at what you do. You're so good at people. What would it take for you to come work with us?
Yeah.
17 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what company I'm still at? 17 years.
Same one.
The same freaking company.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's when I didn't have money and when I have money.
Yeah.
When I didn't have money, when I just started to make money, 2011. I'm a groomsman in the Kardashian wedding with my best friend Chris Humphries, right?
Yep.
Long story with that. I didn't have money at the time. Dude, I don't know how they get my number. I don't know how this happens. I'm getting hit up by TMZ, by E, by you name it. Dude, nobody has to know. We'll give you 50 grand. Take a picture at the wedding. Phones weren't allowed. This is in 2011. There you go. There you see me, clean shaven saws right there, no glasses. I'm not the 7-footer in the back. They offered me 50 grand per
Zoom in a little bit,
photo.
Rob. Go ahead.
Yeah. 50 grand per photo. What did I say? No, this is my best friend. And I'm not going to throw him under the bus and completely taint our relationship for 50 grand or 100 grand. Not fucking worth it. So to leave the company that helped me get started in this, hell no. It's for a couple more points. To throw my best friend under the bus for 50 grand, hell no. And I can give you list after list after list, whether it's Keith and the nightlife stuff that I do, whether it's Adrian and the loyalty I've had with him.
Can I tell you something?
The
These are
point
very good
that
examples.
I'm saying is everyone has a price.
Yeah.
Based on the relationship that they're going to have to usurp.
Yeah, but it's relationship. Well, that's one element. You're right. The other part is also values and principles. If the value of freedom of speech is not of value to you, you'll compromise it.
No doubt.
Aaron Rodgers said freedom of speech is not a top 3 value to me. No problem. Entertainment is more important to him than freedom of speech. By the way, go die on whatever hill you want to die on.
You mean Rodgers or
I'm talking
Pat
McAfee.
McAfee.
My apologies.
To be clear, no,
McAfee.
exactly.
But you know what this you brought something up to me to think about, and I want to transition into another story because we've got a lot of things to talk about. Is the following: who just part ways? Which big name and big platform just part ways 2 months ago? Which name? We talked about it on the podcast
What,
twice.
Tucker?
No, John Stewart and Apple.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Think about that. Can you pull up the story? John Stewart and Apple. So check this out. In a way, I actually respected that decision.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you know what John Stewart said?
He's not compromising.
No, bro. And I'm not a John Stewart guy.
Neither am I.
Politically,
Yeah.
I think he's funny. I think he's very effective. I think sometimes he panders, but I like him, right? I like John Stewart.
Daily Show hasn't been the same since he left. I'll tell you that much.
No
Tragic.
question about it. But watch what he says. He walks away from Apple TV show after dispute over AI in China episodes.
He stuck up
You
with
know what, John? Respect.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay? Even though I know what he's going to say politically, he's going to trash Trump. He's going to trash a lot of capitalism. He's going to, do all this stuff. And, there's nothing wrong with the element of social and all this stuff. I have so much respect that the guy is not willing to say, no, you can't tell me not to talk about AI and China. And Pat McAfee said, nope, I'm sorry. I'm choosing this over me choosing Aaron Rodgers. And FYI, the only time we've ever talked about Pat McAfee on our podcast, and by the way, he's a phenomenal entertainer, okay? I know people that work with him at Barstool. They tell me some intel about how it was to work with him. I know people who work with him at, I think it's FanDuel or whoever he was with. And I got messages about what that relation, I'm talking about like in people, and they were kind of like, some people say they were kind of happy that he's no longer with them with FanDuel and he's not ESPN. Here's what you can't deny about Pat McAfee. He's able to get eyeballs. He's super entertaining. But here, You look at John. John, you can't talk about AI in China. I'm sorry, Apple. I don't give a shit that you're a $3 trillion company. I'm walking. You know what, John? Boom. I don't have to agree with you. I salute anybody that has values and principles that they're not willing to compromise. More power to you, bro, for doing that. That's all I'm saying. McAfee's still going to do well. McAfee's still going to excel. McAfee's still going to bring a lot of eyeballs to them. It's just not my cup of tea. That's all it is. And by the way, I think the likelihood of Rodgers coming back on next year or the following year, he's probably going to have him back on. But they're probably going to have a conversation and saying, hey, the only thing I ask of you is the following. And Rodgers is either going to say yes or no. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's like they hate each other, screw this guy, F him. He doesn't have that kind of personality to hate. It's just I disagree with what you didn't stand for.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.